Welcome to the JP8 Report. This is James Pierce with the JP8 Report, episode 437. All right, everybody. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Breaking news just came out. I'll get to it in just a minute. It's about the inflation report. And just to give you some headline stuff, today in history, right? Besides America 250. The day is Bastille Day. It's 1789. That's the start of the French Revolution. Billy the Kid was killed in New Mexico, Gallup, New Mexico, in 1881 on this day. And the Sedition Act was signed by the president in 1798. It was sedition, espionage, speaking against the government, acts of sabotage. I mean, stuff like the left is doing these days. But that's a whole different story. All right, so let's get started with the JP8 report. All right, I just thought you would like to know that. Welcome. As we get started, I just got a follower just a couple minutes ago. That's awesome. I hit number 180. Amy Wilder. Thank you very much. Hey, so just as she did, if you want to join the JP8 report, beside where it says the JP8 report, you'll see tip, which is always nice if you give me a tip, but I digress. There's a little bell right beside it. You click on that bell and you scroll down to where it says follow. Click the follow button. That's how you follow podcasts on Rumble. All right. And then give me a like for the podcast. I keep saying this. If you're going to visit someone's podcast, give them a like. Give them a thumbs up. There's lots of people who never give thumbs up for any podcast, but this is how you draw people into it. Like, hey, I'm listening to this. This is a good record. Because just because someone has 2 million likes, 2 million followers doesn't mean they have 2 million listeners. And this is a good way to broadcast it. You can always take the thumbs up down to thumbs down. Don't do that, please, to me. All right. But that's how you do it. All right. So America 250. America 250 today, the Second Continental Congress received a letter from General Washington about the British. Okay. And then that's the letter I read yesterday that the president sent to John Hancock. Okay. So this is another action letter to General Washington from Brigadier General Hugh Mercer, written on this day in 1776. This morning, Lord Howe sent Lieutenant Reeve of the Eagle Man of War, that's a ship, with a flag of truce to this post. He delivered me the letters which accompany this. Nothing worthy of your attention has happened here since I have had the honor to receive your instructions on the 11th by Mr. Ross. The enemy's guards, in our view, continue without any new movement. From their number, it is probable that 2 regiments encamp near this end of Staten Island. We have been able, however, to procure no certain intelligence of their situation. No person has yet come over to us, nor is it easy to find any one of our friends duly qualified or ready to undertake the business of a spy on the island. are about 400 of Pennsylvania's about 400 of the Pennsylvania Rifle Battalion have joined us, and another party of the same regiment is on its way. From this last, I have ordered 100 men to take up the ferries of Pazazak and Hackensack, and shall relieve all the Jersey militia as soon as reinforcements arrive. When the two battalions of riflemen and one of musketry from Pennsylvania are posted from hence to the ferries toward New York, a favorable opportunity may probably offer to surprise the enemy's small posts. Boats may, I think, be procured, and the riflemen would be happy to be so employed. Such an enterprise is not suspected by the enemy nor believed to be under consideration here. I have the honor to be your most excellent and most obedient servant, Brigadier General Hugh Mercer. Very well operational letter sent to CG. All right. So next up on the hopper, the armament shop. Whether you're looking for your first firearm, hold on just a second. Whether you're looking for your first firearm, upgrading your setup, or need expert service, Jason at the Armament Shop is Copper's Cove's premier source for all things shooting. Browse our wide selection of pistols, rifles, and shotguns backed by top-tier gunsmithing for repairs, along with reloading supplies and professional cleaning to keep your firearm in peak condition. Need a transfer? We make FFL transfers fast, easy, and affordable. Need your CHL? Jason can handle those classes. He has over 3 decades of experience. Visit the Armament Shop today at 115A West Avenue D, Coppers Cove, or call or text 254-560-2023, or visit www.armamentshop.com. That's www.armamentshop.com. The Armament Shop, your safety, our priority. All right, I'm back. Plus, a couple weeks ago, he has a machine where you could register and sign up and do all your paperwork and fingerprint for silencers. Pretty cool, huh? All right, let me finish up here. The Iran update. More U.S. strikes were conducted last night. Matter of fact, they said it was a very intense 5-hour-long airstrike in Iran. The U.S. blockade begins today at 4 p.m. Eastern here in the United States. It only applies to anything trying to go into Iran ports or leave Iran ports. The U.S. approved Saudi Arabia's attacks on Yemen in the airport of Sena, I think, Senaa. I think that's how you spell it. Mike Waltz, he's the U.S. ambassador to the United Nations, is quoted as saying, Iran is trying to hold the world hostage, which is right. And it's more so the IRGC than it is the than the government itself. I mean, I still don't trust the government, but the IRGC, I think, is wielding the most power in Iran. Pickaxe Mountain may be the next major target on the radar for the United States. That would be one of the semi-secret nuclear research places that Iran thinks we don't know about. All right. The United Arab Emirates says the Iran attack from Iran on the tankers killed 1 and wounded 8. Yemen's threatening to retaliate against Saudi Arabia in the U.S. and probably Israel, a whole slew of others, for the attack in his country. Trump told Congress yesterday that the attacks have restarted as of, I think he said, the 9th of July was the start of the restart of the bombing, which gives him 60 days before he has to make a full report back to Congress. And he also declared that the Hormuz Strait will remain open. Right? The stock market closed yesterday minus 138.37. The Dow Jones was at 52,498.04. And I got my way earlier this morning because if you listen to JP's morning brief, I said, man, I really wish West Texas Intermediate would be below $80 when I start the podcast. Wow. So about 7:15 my time, I went and checked the oil prices for the rain update. West Texas Intermediate, $79.67. Woo, under 80. But Brent crude oil is at 86.22. All right, that's your Iran update. I'm sure there's going to be more about it this evening. And then let's do announcements real quick. So the first announcement is Coppers Cove Conservative Club meets this evening at 6 p.m. at Giovanni's in Coppers Cove. I helped form this group several years ago. We're still doing it. And then, so if you're a conservative and you want to meet with some likewise people, we're going to be talking about politics. We're talking about local elections that are starting to file next week. And then just relax and enjoy ourselves and talk. All right. Next announcement is Pints and Politics at Area 254 on the Thursday, the 16th of July, at Area 254 at 6 p.m. Area 254 is the old Kmart shopping center where you see a big sign for Raising Cane's Chicken. Go into the shopping center, go into the right to the Area 254. When you go in the main doors, you go right, you go to the stairwell, and you go upstairs to the upper room. That is where they're meeting, and meet with Chip Howell, okay? Next announcement, Smoking Hot Conservatives for the 20th of July. It's another Pints and Politics is with Chip Howell, 6 p.m. at the Leaf Affair Cigar Shop at 4110 South Clear Creek Road in Killeen. Conservatives, cigars, they talk politics and smoke their cigars, all right? And then the next one is Coryell County Republican women. They're meeting on the 25th of July in Coppers Cove at Trinity Worship Center, 1802 Martin Luther King Drive. They got a special speaker. His name is Mark Fulmer. He's going to be talking about Islamicism. That'd be the geopolitical implications of the greater context of the red-green excess in the Middle East and coming over here soon. All right. And then that would be all for the graphics. One last announcement is on Tuesday, the 28th of July, at Coryell County Republican Party. We'll be meeting in Gatesville at the junction at Route 36 for our meeting that's going to be taking place then. Okay. So announcements, advertisements, everything's out of the way. Let's go on to the JP8 report. All righty. Hold on just a second here. Man, all that took almost 15 minutes. Wow. All right. So the news that just came out about 7:45. Consumer inflation cooled more than expected. I just printed this thing off. Cooled more than expected in June as gas prices fell. This is a breaking news story, so there'll be more that comes out later on about all the little specifics about it and stuff. Inflation pulled back in June after surging in the prior months due to Iran's war impact on energy prices throughout the economy. BLS said on Tuesday that consumer price index, it's called CPI, a broad measure of how much everyday goods like gasoline, groceries, and rent costs declined 0.4% on a monthly basis in June, and that was up was up 3.5% from a year ago. The monthly decline was the largest since the 0.08 decrease in April 2020. So we made a 6-year progress in the in the inflation rate. That is really good. So-called core prices, which exclude volatile measurements in gas, groceries, and groceries to better assess the growth trends, were unchanged from about a month ago and up 2.6 from last year. Both of those figures were lower than the estimates from economists expected. They expected prices to go up and they went down. Awesome news. All right. Now to my script. Well, I don't really have a script. I got outline and a bunch of notes and printouts. So Thursday, day after tomorrow, the president is going to go before the nation for a nationwide speech at 9 p.m. Eastern. Hopefully, all the channels will be covering it, but you never know these days. It may just be News Nation, Fox, and Newsmax. Well, that's the way these guys will be playing their games and stuff. You know, when you have the truth and you're trying to talk, nobody wants to listen, or the powers that be don't want everybody to listen. All right. So Thursday night, president's going to speak, and reportedly, the CIA director, John Ratcliffe, is going to be there. The acting DNI, Bill Pulte, is going to be there, unless Jay Clayton's already been confirmed by the Senate. Kash Patel, the FBI director, is going to be there. And the Department of Homeland Security, Mark Wayne Mullen, is going to be present also. Some of the subjects they're going to talk about, he said it was a portrait of different subjects. I was listening to Vince a while ago. But what they're talking about is election integrity, Iran, and a couple other subjects that may be on there. I wouldn't doubt if Lindsey Graham was talked about some too. The thing is that from what I was talking, oh good, my wife's glucose meter was just replaced. She had a fault. I digress, but my wife, her glucose meter was reading 42 this morning, and that set off all kinds of alarms because I wanted to make sure I woke her up. It's like 20 minutes before I was going to come in here. And then I was like, 42, you need to get up. You need to test yourself before I go into the room. She tested it manually, came up to 127. And then it's like, wow, that's a big difference. So, and then she got a sensor error reading on her glucose meter, so she just changed it out. Great news. But if you have a spouse and they have one of those glucose readers on their arms or on their hips, have them share that out with you so you know what their levels are, just to be careful, okay? Because I care about my wife a lot, and I hate to see her get sick or something. That would be horrible. That'd be horrible. And then the text messages start. First day today. And my oldest daughter got a job, a really good job in Louisville, Kentucky. Pray for her. It's her first day of employment in like 2 months. All right, so back to here. So we were talking about the president's speech. So 2 things. Election integrity. So Benny Johnson last night will put out something about a foreign nation's plan to interfere in the 2020 presidential election. And then there's Kash Patel is going to be there. And they have a deadline by Friday to finish all their investigation. They had put out a nationwide alert that if you're an FBI analyst, you're to stop what you're doing and report over to Atlanta to go over all this data that they confiscated, right? Matter of fact, Vince was saying that 2 FBI agents were fired on the spot because they were complaining that they had to do this investigation. That's their job. Your job, when the director tells you to do something, you do it or you quit. Well, they got fired and they're gone. Well, they have a deadline by Friday to conclude their entire investigation. So that might be what's coming up here. All kinds of election integrity stuff and what's going on in Iran. So stay tuned. I'm sure we're going to know. The president's going to tell us uh, probably by tomorrow afternoon what he's going to talk about on Thursday. Okay, so if I come across it, I will tell y'all. But I only do my stuff in the morning time. Matter of fact, on Thursday, the JP8 report won't be at 8 a.m. It'll be at 6 a.m. because I have a VA appointment myself, and it starts at 9. So I'm going to do the JP8 report from 6 to 7, and then right after it, I'm going to sign off, and I'm going to drive the temple for my VA appointment. It's a regular appointment, so I'm going to be there for about 45 minutes or so. All right? And then that night is this. All right? So set your alarms because I'm sure CNN won't tell you. All right, so next. Governor Henry McMaster yesterday at 4 p.m. in South Carolina, in Columbia, South Carolina, announced that Darlene Graham Norland is going to be the next U.S. Senator from South Carolina. She's going to replace her brother as the senator until January 3rd, 2027, because they're going to do a special primary to replace Lindsey Graham because he passed away Saturday night. The filing period opens up on the 21st. Yeah, on the 21st, ends on the 28th. And then they have a special election on August 11th and a runoff on 2 weeks later if there needs to be a runoff, right? So he had coordinated and talked with President Trump about it, and then he discussed it with Miss Norland, and she agreed to take it. So and she's going to be sworn in this morning in the Senate to be the next U.S. Senator. Matter of fact, she's going to be the first female senator in the state of South Carolina. And that's where I got the day's title for the podcast. And now I will be there for him because she said that during her acceptance speech when Governor McMaster made his appointment announcement. All right. So it says here, that's pretty good. First female senator from the state of South Carolina. Regardless if it makes a difference or not, she is qualified. Okay. Darlene Graham Nordone, the sister of the late Senator Lindsey Graham, was appointed to fill her brother's Senate seat after a push from President Donald Trump. It's my honor to ask his little sister, Darlene Graham, to finish his work for him now, South Carolina Governor Henry McMaster said in a ceremony Monday afternoon. McMaster, a close Trump ally, appointed Nordone nearly 48 hours after her brother, a longtime lawmaker, suddenly died from an aortic dissection. McMaster's pick comes after Trump pushed for Graham's wonderful sister Nordone to get the job done. This would be a fabulous tribute to Lindsey, who loved her dearly. Others who were initially considered was Pam Evett, Trey Gowdy, and Jim DeMint. Screw that. So at this point, it's unclear if Nordone said would consider running for a full 6-year term. She said she's only in this till January, right? Let's see. Nancy Mace is considering running. Ralph Norman, um, Pam Evett, Joe Wilson. Those are the usual suspects when it comes to the Senate seat. We'll see how that all starts panning out. Ralph Norman is going to make some type of announcement today. He is 73 years old. I think you need to make room for the younger people. Okay. Um, so this is, I'll go into the regular news in just a second, but this is the one thing I want to let you know about Miss Nordon. This is the type of person she is. Nordon, who has kept out of public eye, is married to Larry Nordon, and they have 2 daughters. She has worked with the South Carolina Commission for the Blind as a commissioner, according to the organization's 2026-27 budget. The South Carolina Commission for the Blind provides services aimed at helping blind and low vision South Carolina residents gain employment, independence, and self sufficiency. In the past, she has described her personal closeness to Lindsay, having been raised by him after the death of their mother when she was just 11 years old, and when she was 13, their father died too. She is a remarkable young lady. She's about 10 years younger than him, but we will see who's going to run for Lindsey Graham's seat starting next week. Well, the announcements are going to start coming today because, like I said, Ralph Norman said he's going to make some type of announcement. Okay, maybe they'll clear the. I can't think of it, man. Okay, who cares? Let's see who's going to run. Okay, we'll leave it at that. All right. So next, retirement. I talked a little bit about this morning. So President Trump is toying with the idea of trying to advance legislation to change the Americans' retirement system other than Social Security. Social Security goes back to 1935 under President Roosevelt, and it was largely because we didn't have like a retirement system in our country, and then they made it to where we could collect some type of government benefits because they set the retirement age at 65. Most people only live to age 70, so that we were well funded in our retirement system. And according to the model, if you don't know about Social Security, you only have to give 40 quarters of employment in your entire life to qualify for Social Security. It's 10 years of work, right? Okay. So the problem is people used to be able to get, they used to work at a job for 30 years, get a pension, and be able to retire and get Social Security and live about 5 years and die, right? Well, nowadays, and it's covered in this, right? Most people work at a job about 5 years. They don't have a pension plan, and most companies don't contribute to a 401k plan, and the average American only saves 2.6% for retirement. I mean, like I said myself earlier, I got VA disability and I got Army retired check. Okay, so I'm set. I'm good. But there's people out there that are not, and those are people like my one of my daughters, the one that just started. She's $15, $20 an hour. And that's all they're making. And how do you put money aside to be able to pay bills? Most Americans are one expense away from declaring bankruptcy because they don't have the savings to help themselves out. This is a different model. All right. If you take a look at it, I got this one from, I read a little bit about it in Just the News last week, and this week I found it in foxnews.com, right? He wants to model it after Australia, but not replicate Australia because they got a socialistic government there. Um, believe it or not, they do. So this is really okay. When President Trump told reporters last week he was going this is an opinion piece also. Um, he was looking very strongly at Australians' retirement system. Most Americans probably shrugged and thought, great, another retirement plan. They shouldn't. If this idea becomes legislation, it would represent the biggest shift in American retirement policy since Social Security was signed into law in 1935. Don't be surprised if Trump's name is on the retirement account if it happens. I doubt if that one is. The important thing is I would call it the American Retirement Plan. That's what I would call it. The important thing to understand at this point, Trump isn't talking about copying Australia. He's talking about what works and making it sharper for America. So what exactly is he trying to accomplish? Our retirement system is built on an economy that barely exists anymore. People used to work for 30 years, receive a pension, collect Social Security, and retire. Social Security was built for people to claim it at 65 and to live about 70. That's gone. People are lucky if they worked at the same company for 5 years, let alone 30, and pensions are nearly gone. And we know the savings rate for America is abysmal, 2.6%. Today, Americans change job every few years. Millions of work as freelancers or independent contractors, podcasters, uh, Uber drivers, or for employers that don't even have a 401k. America has done an excellent job in creating opportunities to save, but haven't done a good job of making sure people actually do it. Meanwhile, too many workers have little or nothing saved their retirement. That's the backdrop for Trump's comments. Australia requires employers to contribute a percentage of an employee's wages to an individual retirement account known as a super. Yeah. The worker owns the account. Investments stay invested. The account opens the employee. The account follows the employee from job to job. The result: Australia has built one of the world's largest retirement saving pools relative to the size of its population. There is a constant flow. This is pretty good of capital into the markets. Trump likes that thought. That isn't an accident. It's a result of automatic long-term investing. If I were advising the administration, wouldn't simply copy Australia. I'd build an American version around three principles. First, keep Social Security as the foundation. Second, create a portable retirement account that belongs to the worker, not the employer. Third, require or strongly encourage or highly emphasize automatic retirement contributions into privately managed investment accounts. Instead of relying almost entirely on future government benefits, Americans would retire with assets they actually own. That is the three-long stool of retirement. That is fundamentally different philosophy. This isn't just about retirement, it's about ownership. America faces three long-term challenges simultaneously. Social Security will be out of money by 2034. That's 7 years, okay? Retirement savings gap leaves millions financially vulnerable because when there's no Social Security benefits to pay out, there's no money. Economy increasingly built around workers who don't fit neatly into traditional employer sponsored retirement plans, and Australia's type system attempts to address all three. Rather than expanding government retirement programs, it encourages Americans to accumulate private wealth through decades of investing into private markets, capital markets. That is distinctly pro-market approach. Mandatory employer contributions aren't free. Businesses ultimately pay these costs. You would argue that a mandatory employer contribution effectively functions like a hidden payroll tax because employers will eventually recover those costs through slower wage growth and reduced hiring and higher prices and lower profits. That's a legitimate concern, particularly for small businesses already operating on thin margins. If Washington simply mandates a 12% employer contribution overnight, as Australia has, it would create real economic disruption. Because that is why, and I'm not even finished reading this. You have to read it on your own. Just go to foxnews.com and look for Australia. But if you arbitrarily decided we're going to take 10% off of an employee's payroll check, man, you're already paying payroll tax, Social Security tax, and now you're going to pay a super retirement tax, right? Well, people are going to say, well, you're going to give me a pay raise now because I'm losing money because I need that money to live on. All right. So they got to worry about that part, right? Something to look at. Something needs to be done because in 7 years, people are going to get a lot less. They'll be moving in with their kids. All right. Luke says, if the government would let me invest the money they take from me for Social Security, I would make way more money for retirement. On the spot. You are right. You are absolutely correct. But take in mind, you got to still maintain some type of. You realize you only pay 3.5% of your payroll for Social Security, just so you know. But I understand your concept because if you know how to invest your money, it's going to be there. And if you don't know Luke, Luke's in I think his early 20s or mid 20s. The guy has a whole life ahead of him for him and his wife and daughter. Let him invest his money and be ready for retirement and have that money already available for when they retire for a good secure nest egg. I understand. I fully understand. All right. All right. Where are we at? We're at 8:37. Tips. Keep coming in. I like people when they make these comments. Luke, don't forget to like the episode too, okay? Give me that thumbs up. Let's see. Early voting begins on Monday in Tennessee. Early voting begins Monday for Tennessee's August 6th primary, topped by a race for governor and a new congressional districts for some voters. U.S. Senator Marsha Blackburn, U.S. Representative John Rose, and Representative Monty Fitz are seeking the Republican nomination for governor. And there's a bunch of Democrats that say they're going to try to do the same thing. Some Memphis and Shelby County residents are voting for a different congressional representative. Stephen Cohen decided that since they changed the district boundaries that made it favorable for Republicans, he's not running for re-election. Thank you, Luke. I appreciate that. Let's see. So for the Senate, this is a lot of data in here. We only got so much time too. The main thing is for, I was looking for the U.S. Senate. These are congressional districts. Let me go more into this tomorrow. But Marsha Blackburn is running for governor and she's the one that you need to vote for. Okay, hopefully my daughter Rose is watching this, and she'll go down and vote for Marsha Blackburn. My youngest daughter lives in I have a daughter lives in Louisville, Kentucky, and I have a daughter lives in Clarksville, Tennessee, home of Fort Campbell and 101st Airborne. Her husband is in the 101st Airborne. Okay, next thing. But early voting is for August 6th. Pete Hegseth had formed a JTF with the Department of Justice to find classified leakers, because evidently they got a problem with that in the Department of Defense and in the public in general. The War Secretary, Pete Hegseth, announced Monday, that would be yesterday, that the Pentagon and the Justice Department have created a joint task force, or JTF, to identify and prosecute leakers of sensitive and classified information, i.e., the 1798 Sedition Act that I just quoted earlier today. The task force creation comes after the Justice Department subpoenaed 4 New York Times reporters last week looking for the source behind the story of security concerns involving President Trump's Qatari-donated plane. Hegseth said the Pentagon's Office of General Counsel will be able to have access to all information and support records of the War Department regarding news media leak investigations that are requested, and all officers are ordered to prioritize those requests. Leaked information risks lives. Like I say, loose lips sink ships. These new tools and processes will greatly assist us in protecting our joint force. The security of our nation cannot be a bargaining chip for those who seek monetary headlines. That would be people in Pakistan. On contrary, I'm in free Pakistan, not Pakistan. When those are people that I will only give first names for: Candace, Tucker, Nick, and there's a couple other ones out there. Those are the fake podcasters. Okay. Pete Hegseth said all information and tasks that the Pentagon's Office of General Counsel requests will need to be responded to within 2 days. Not even time to think about it. The task force comes after Pete Hegseth talking about Signal and stuff. And they'll be working with the with the Attorney General's office on this. All right. Access to the Pentagon's press secretary and assistant to the Secretary of War and Public Affairs remains available by appointment. That'd be Sean Parnell, a former Army Ranger, former real podcaster that Hegseth hired right after he was appointed. All right. Next, Marco Rubio. This is the cool story, right? Hold on. So, if you don't know, the left likes to generalize globalization. All right. We need to be like all other countries around the world. We need to model our country like all other countries around the world. Our judicial system should be modeled like all other countries around the world. They forget about American exceptionalism. We are different from all countries around the rest of the world. Case in point, in 2002, there was a treaty signed in Rome establishing the International Criminal Court, which deals with war crimes, genocide, stuff like that, right? But they like to keep appointing countries that have nefarious means within their government, like Iran, North Korea, Libya, Russia, countries like that don't have any business being on the ICC, and all they do is go after the United States and Israel, right? So, at the direction of President Trump, Marco Rubio is leading a diplomatic effort to dismantle the ICC. Okay, so which is a really good idea because we're not part of it as it is, and all it is a stumbling block around the world, right? That's why countries have their own judicial systems, and if they create an act of war, that's another story. But here we go. Sec State Mark Rubio announced yesterday a diplomatic effort to dismantle the International Criminal Court amid a worsening row between the court and the United States regarding sanctions. The effort comes after 3 of the judges filed a lawsuit last month against the Trump administration in New York, arguing the sanctions that were levied against them last year were unlawful. The court was created under a Rome statute in 2002 to prosecute genocide, war crimes, and crimes against humanity. Rubio accused the court in a Wall Street Journal op-ed and video on social media of being run by globalist bureaucrats. The U.S. is launching a diplomatic campaign with a simple message: sovereign states over globalism. Rubio wrote in the op-ed, using the tools at our government's disposal, working beside every ally with whom we can make common sense, we will dismantle the ICC brick by brick if necessary. The secretary also accused the ICC of his op-ed of being backed and run by a powerful network of leftist non-governmental organizations, smug globalists, and hostile third world governments united by their enmity toward the U.S. The State Department told Reuters the tools include travel bans, visa revocations, increased sanctions against the court, and diplomatic pressure on other nations to withdraw from the ICC. The comments come after Trump administration sanctioned the court over a case against Israel last year, in which the court issued arrest warrants for multiple Israeli leaders, including Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, over the war against Hamas. The United States is not a signatory of the Rome Statute, is not bound by the ICC. So, like I said, Israel and the United States are the favorite targets of the ICC. You don't see them going after Hamas or Hezbollah or the Palestinian Authority. You don't see them going after people in Iran. They just slaughtered 50-something thousand people, but they want to go after Israel, always. So, what better thing to do? It's a useless organization. Let's save some money around the world. Disown it, disband it, and give the money back to these countries, and we can handle our own justice systems, right? If we want to make a difference, 847, if we want to make a difference around the world, we can pass sanctions on a country and hurt them at the bank account, right? And then make them turn people over. This is worthless, okay? So good luck to Secretary of State. Probably won't be done this term of office. It'll have to be while he's the upcoming vice president and a new Secretary of State. I digress, right? Next, Admiral Ronnie Jackson. He used to be the president's doctor. I think he worked for President Bush. He worked for President Obama. He worked for President Trump. And I believe right after Biden got elected, he retired from the Navy as a Rear Admiral and ran for Congress and got elected. All right. He is going to make a bid to be the next House Armed Services Committee chair next year. And just so you know, Republicans, unlike Democrats, become a committee chair and die in office, basically, right? But in the Republican caucus, you can only be a committee chair for 3 terms. It's 6 years. And then you got to step aside and let a new congressman come in and take hold of the reins of that committee. Subcommittees and committees, okay? Spreading the wealth. Texas GOP Ronnie Jackson announced Monday he's officially running to lead the House Armed Services Committee next year if Republicans maintain their majority in the House. Jackson previously floated a bid for the position in April and is joining Congressman Rob Whitman and Trent Kelly in the race. Whitman is the most senior of the 3 candidates, and Kelly has also served in the chamber longer than Jackson. The Navy veteran, see, that's the key thing, currently serves as chairman of the House Armed Services Committee on Intel and Special Ops Subcommittee, and is a member of the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence and the House Foreign Affairs Committee. He said, I am proud to officially announce my candidacy for chairman of the House Armed Services Committee. More than 25 years in the U.S. Navy and throughout my service in Congress, I have remained committed to ensuring our military remains the strongest, most capable fighting force in the world. As chairman, I will fight to advance military readiness, make critical investments in our national defense, and put our service members and their families first. With the support of my colleagues, I will lead the committee in delivering the authorities necessary to ensure our military is prepared to meet the growing threats posed by our adversaries. Together, we will work to keep America free and safe. Although Jackson is the newest member in the race, he considered a dark horse for the position. His military background and his friendship with President Trump could work in his advantage. Jackson previously worked as a White House physician during the President Barack Obama administration and during Trump's first term. I think he was in the Bush administration also, but as just the White House medical department, okay? Because remember, I used to work for the White House Communications Agency. We had to track that stuff. But Admiral Jackson, I hope you get the job. We should have veterans in those positions that know what's going on. All right? 8:52. So, in December, do y'all like having the sun set at 5 o'clock or like the sun setting at 6 o'clock? 5 o'clock, standard time, that's about December 21st, right? Because that's the shortest day of the year. So 5 o'clock sunset or 6 o'clock sunset. So in December, the sun sets at 5 o'clock, right? But if we maintain daylight savings time, which is what we're under now, the sun would set at 6 o'clock. I would rather have more daylight in the evening time than in the morning time. That's just me, but I like in the summertime right now, it's daylight, like not almost 9 o'clock at night. It's awesome, right? Instead of 8 o'clock, it get dark. Well, this is supposed to be going before a House vote today, right? And the president supports it. It passed through committee yesterday. They're putting it on the floor today. They expect it to pass today. The problem is the United States Senate. That's the problem. They have to get through the U.S. Senate. They may have the votes. They may not have the votes. But this is a good package for people that that they've been trying to do this for years. I think Arizona, Indiana are the 2 states that don't abide by savings time and standard time. That and Hawaii, I believe, right? I see, like Luke says, I like it when it sets later. Yeah. I mean, because like I like to grill. I'm pretty sure he does too, right? I hope it passes. Yes, I like to grill. I hate grilling on a grill when it's dark outside. Believe me, so I'd rather look at the food when I'm grilling it and say, is that done or not? Instead of having to put it on a plate, take it inside, cut it open, and see if it's good or not. I'd rather leave it on the grill so it can cook. Uh, hey, look at that. Retired Rob shows up. Awesome, Rob. Good morning to you, too. And I'll see you this evening at the Four Cs, too. All right. What do we got on time? It's 8:54. But yeah, so this is supposed to go to the House to get voted on today. And what we're talking about, Rob, is daylight savings time. It's going to be voted on permanently by the House of Representatives today, and it's supposed to go over to the United States Senate, where it's unsure of its passage, but the president wants it passed, right? All right. This would give us more time at night with daylight, all right? So hopefully they get this done. Rick Scott. Hey, we were just talking about the Senate, right? So check this out. I'm just going to read some of this because this is the opinion piece by Rick Scott, Senator Rick Scott from Florida. America works 5 days a week. Why can't the Senate? This will make you really upset, okay? Scott. Yeah, there goes Scott. I don't like driving when it's dark at 5 p.m. Yes, I'd rather look at everything else. I'd like to look at beautiful sunsets when I'm driving. Yeah. All right. So here we go. Did you know the U.S. Senate has only been in session 79 days? That's 40% of the time so far this year. That should infuriate every single person here right now. As so far, we haven't passed anything to secure our elections, reduce inflation, cut spending, or prevent another Democrat shutdown. Well, what isn't shocking is the fact that nothing has gotten done while we've been at work for 2.5 days out of the week. It's crazy. At a slow rate, we are getting stuff done. We shouldn't be working. We should be working 7 days. Let's just take a status update. The Senate has yet to deliver on several of our key promises to the American people this year, including securing our elections through the Save America Act. As I noted in a recent letter to my Senate colleagues, Republicans, Democrats, Independents overwhelmingly want voter ID for elections and only Americans to be able to register for elections, the main component of the Save America Act. Yet, the Senate still hasn't passed it or even agreed on how to proceed on it. To fix this, we need to change how we do business. The job of a senator used to be to arrive in Washington to debate, vote on, and accomplish all our agenda items before we're allowed to go ourselves to home. Sadly, that's no longer the case. In recent decades, under leadership by both Democrats and Republicans, the Senate has worked less and less, and Americans felt the consequences of the legislators' lack of urgency. Right now, we take fewer than 10 votes a week. We arrive late Monday to vote and leave as soon as possible on Thursday afternoon. The Senate is rarely in session on Fridays and almost never works over the weekend, even when pressing deadlines approach on critical issues to the safety, security, and stability of the American people. And it's not just election security that's at stake. We still need to fund the government to prevent another open borders Democrat shutdown. We need to cut spending to reduce interest rates and inflation that are wreaking havoc on American budgets. America is the greatest country in the world. We have the strongest economy because of the workers who bust their butts every day to do their jobs, provide for their families, and achieve the American dream. I think the Senate should demonstrate the kind of work ethic we depend on from American people to keep our economy running. We have so many policies to enact before election day this November. If we still have work to do, then why do we only show up 2.5 days a week? Question mark. Should be explanation point. Our situation is not a failure of any one party or individual. It's a problem that's been getting progressively worse for decades. Congress is decreasingly productive every year because we leave to go home on Thursday when there's still work to do. Would you go home if you had work to do if you were working, right? Your boss would say, no, you're staying, you're working overtime. I'm sure we would all love to go home with our families as much as possible. Every American probably feels that way, but that's not the job we ask our constituents to elect us to do. It's certainly not the job that I promised the people of Florida. I told them I would work as hard as I can to help them achieve the American dream, stay safe, and live free. You know, he's on par. He's telling the exact truth. Um, you know, we elect them to do 6-year terms and pay them $176,000 a year. I expect $176,000 worth of work out of these guys because we do elect them for a 6-year term. If you don't want to do the job, resign and let someone else do that job. We just had a United States Senator basically work himself to death because he cared so much about our country, and he worked and he worked and worked and worked until he died. You know what? We got senators that are working 2.5 days a week and doing nothing but sitting at home, popping their feet up on the coffee table, eating bonbons and drinking sweet tea. Who cares? If you got a job to do, you do your job. Senator Rick Scott is on the money with this editorial. And you can find out on foxnews.com. Look up Senator Rick Scott. Americans work 5 days a week. Why can't the Senate? On the money. 901. Guess what? I'm out of time. All right. I'm going to raid on over to Dan Bongino. I'm going to go out and listen to him. Y'all have a great day. If you're not doing nothing in Coppers Cove, come see me at the Coppers Cove Conservatives Club tonight at Giovanni's in Coppers Cove at 6 p.m. Have some fun, all right? I'll see y'all later. I'm initiating the raid. Maybe I'm not. Hold on. There we go. It's not letting me do it. What's up with this? Hold it. One more try. Man, it's not letting me do it. Okay. Hey, I'm going to sign off. I'll see y'all tonight or tomorrow morning at JP's Morning Brief. Go listen to the Dan Bongino show, okay? So, James Pierce, JP8 Report. I'll catch you on the flip side. I'm out.